On today's episode of Gathering the Kings.
College never prepares you, or being in the trades never really prepares you
Right.
to be in business for yourself. I mean, they give you the basics, but until you've actually done it and lived it, it just cannot prepare you for that.
You are listening to Gathering the Kings with Chaz Wolfe, featuring fellow 7, 8, and even 9-figure business owners who have real battle scars from business and life, but have prevailed as the king that they are designed to be. We welcome high-performing entrepreneurs to the stage in order to reveal the real of the real on what it takes to build a successful business today. We dissect the good and bad decisions they've made along the way that give a true and accurate picture of the journey of success and how you too can get there. Through this dialogue, you will learn the value of growing your network and surrounding yourself with power players and kings like today's guest. Grab your pen and notebook because we're about to dive in. What's up, everybody? I'm Chaz Wolfe, Gathering the Kings podcast. Today, I've got Scott Hinz here on the King stage. My brother, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? And thank you for having me.
Of course, it's a pleasure to have you. And we were just talking off air a little bit. You're in the mobile unit today. I've done several of these shows with kings like yourself in the mobile chariot.
Yes, the mobile office.
The mobile office. Yep. I appreciate you taking the time to do so. Tell us what kind of business that you got, brother.
So we are Total Quality Construction out of Toledo, Ohio. We are a design, build, remodeling firm.
Love it.
A lot of kitchens, bathrooms, and the way up to full house remodels, additions. 99% residential. 8 employees right now. We do about $2 million a year and growing. We have current roadmap to grow next year and continue to grow. Started as carpenter contractors back in 2001, kind of evolved as the economy evolved through the past 20 years and turned to remodeling and never looked back. It just was a fit for us.
Yeah.
We have more office staff right now than carpenters on staff, but we have a few carpenters on staff. We have project designer, project manager, myself as production manager and estimator. My wife is the office manager, project coordinator, and then 3 carpenters on staff.
Love it.
So yeah, we love it. It's a fit for us. The team works great together. The customers are starting to realize the benefit of working with us, and our family dynamic is, they continue to come back. So it's a good thing. We love it.
That's cool. Yeah, there was one thing that you mentioned before we hit the record button that, that you and your wife are really building this culture that represents family and there's a difference there when, and even as consumers, I'm sure you and I can both relate, taking ourselves out of the business hat for a second and going, when we've dealt with business owners or businesses that are family cultured or family oriented, there's just another level of care, another level of attention to detail usually. And so I'm excited to have those maybe detailed conversations with you here in a bit when it comes to your story. We'll definitely dive into that. Before we do that, I want to know what makes you tick. Like, you're obviously at a successful enough level. Why are you pushing still? Why do you have growth plans from here? Most people are trying to get to where you are. Well, why are you trying to grow from here?
Honestly, it's just, I'm wired that way. I have to always try to do a little bit better. Always exceed expectations with my customers and myself for that matter. I enjoy seeing projects come together. I enjoy seeing our customers' faces when the project is done and they're just, oh my gosh, it was far greater than I ever expected. But
yeah,
and not only that, but my staff, I want to see them grow. So in order for them to grow, the company has to grow. So we're always striving to do better communication, better leading, better quality, better, you name it. So that, and as I'm getting older, I know retirement and succession is coming. So
that's right.
I want to build something that either I can pass on to, whether it's family, my staff, or outright sell it someday so that we can have a nice retirement.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think? Like, I mean, all of those things are, like we've heard as entrepreneurs, we've heard those. I'm built like this, I want to build something for legacy for my family.
how did you come to know those things? Like, is there a layer deeper than that even, or has there something along the way that's happened that's given you that insight of like, okay, I got to keep going, or like, give me some more thought there.
It's the people that I surround myself with. A lot of it is, how do I put it? The businesses that I'm around, I belong to some certain networking groups, and,
Yeah.
it's just that feeling of accomplishment and surrounding yourself with the right kind of people and giving you that extra push just to do better, do great.
Yeah.
And it's just embedded in me. And so every day, no matter how good things are, I'm always thinking of ways, how can we make this better? And my wife is the same way. And actually my staff is that way. We were just kind of trained ourselves to, always do that little step more just to
Yeah.
exceed expectations. And,
Yeah.
we have happy customers and clients that way.
Yeah, 100%. I love what you said about your team. Obviously, you and your wife being on the same page is huge. We could probably spend the whole podcast just on husband-wife dynamic in the business and you guys being on the same page. But what you said after that struck me because it's been a big differentiator in multiple of my companies, is that when you have a team that exudes that same, let's level up, let's go to the next level personally and collectively as a team, let's go to the next level. What does that mean? Do I need to get more training? Do I need to get more understanding? Do I go the extra mile? Like, how do we make the process better? How do we make the product better? Whatever. When you have this obsession, this general team obsession around leveling up, just this concept of never quite there. Not that we're not thankful or grateful, but we're just not satisfied. Like there's still yet more to achieve. Is that what you think that you have inside your team? Because that's what it heard. That's what I heard you say.
We do. We do. Yeah, it's never that mindset of it's never good enough. It's just, it's just that continuous improvement that
Yeah.
kind of where the name started from. Total quality construction came from back in my college days, reading books on total quality management. It stuck. It's stuck
Yeah.
since then. And I've hired people and worked with people that all have that same mentality of
Yes.
how can we do better? Let's make this great. And I realized early on that, my expertise might be in sales or carpentry. I need someone that does design work. I need someone that's a good communicator with customers. I need someone to, my wife, she's the office manager, and she creates these procedures that allows us to communicate better with our staff and our customers and our trades.
Yeah.
And never realized early on that was so important. The communication is essential.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah, it's the client journey. If you can highlight each individual touch point that you have or should have with your client as they go through the experience of your company, and then assign ownership to someone on your team to each individual touch point, that's how not only is it going to get done, that's how you can provide training to your team, as well as then assure that your customer is going to get just an incredible experience each touch point along the way. All right, let's jump into your story here, Scott. I want to know, you kind of mentioned college, did you always think you were going to be a business owner? Was it how you were raised? Tell us the before story of, before you became a business owner and why.
Well, early on, I started as a carpenter. Even during high school, my uncle was a contractor, started with him, and,
Okay.
basic carpentry task around when they were building houses. And it stuck. When I graduated high school, I went to work for another contractor and kind of worked my way up in the ranks, started learning the trade, eventually got hired by another contractor and became a carpenter foreman.
Okay.
A couple friends working with me, and one of my friends in general, his dad was a builder, and we started doing a lot of side stuff on nights and weekends, helping him build houses, to the point where eventually we said we were working 7 days a week, long days. And
Yeah.
I was in college at the time as well, so studying business management. The idea was in my head that, maybe someday after college graduation, we could start our own thing. And then ironically had a job offer from a developer to build some condos on a golf course. Talked to a friend of mine and said, are we ready for this? And we decided yes. And framing condos for this developer.
Wow.
And then word spread. We started framing houses and all the way up to commercial buildings. And at one time got as large, we had up to 40 carpenters.
Wow.
Just traveling around. It was a good learning experience. I guess I'll put it that way. What I found out is, there's a handful of people in your company that I guess we hired because everything got so busy. This was,
Right.
mid to late 90s. Everything got so busy that we just started hiring bodies. And come to find out, it's hard to find really, really good, reliable help.
Yeah.
So years progressed, Great Recession came, forced to downsize. And during this time, before this happened, I seen it coming and went and got my contractor's license and started doing some government work. I realized if the economy was going to be bad, the government work should, keep us busy as it did. We did a lot of remodeling, energy or treatments on homes, lead abatement, things like that. Kept us busy, kept the small group busy.
Yeah.
Came to the point where we had downsized and went from an actual office building to having the office at home, which I do not think I would do that again. It was nice. Now, our office is outside the house again.
Yeah.
It was hard to have that separation. So my recommendation is if you are going to have an office, have a separate entrance so you can at least leave your house and enter an office and vice versa at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's nonstop. You just felt like I could never escape.
Right.
And then, as we were doing this general contracting and remodeling, it just kind of evolved from there and built to the point where I decided that I needed to get a designer in house. And we had a designer that was 7 years ago. I still have the same designer and it's evolved from there.
Yeah.
It continues to grow. As a matter of fact, we're looking to double our space in our current office space next year.
Yeah.
To start hiring some people because continue to grow.
Yeah.
But that was basically how it started. It kind of started in college with the idea and then just an opportunity came. And
swept you away. Sounds like.
Ready. And we felt we were ready for it. I mean, we did some planning and training beforehand, but that's how it started.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I appreciate in one breath you saying, you chatted with your partner and saying, hey, are we ready for this? And then in the second breath, you'd really never done it before, not at that scale. So I just appreciate that. I think that every entrepreneur probably listening today can relate to, I'm ready. And then knowing in the backhand, so I appreciate that part of your story because then you got into this like, oh my gosh, 40 carpenters on your team. I mean, that's huge. Like that is a lot of moving pieces, a lot of projects happening all at the same time, probably some pretty big ones. And then for you to be able to downsize. So I want to get into some of this because, there's a lot of people who went through 2007, 8, 9 and didn't make it. I've had a lot of folks here on the show in real estate that were like, dude, I lost everything. And so, for you to be able to weather that storm the way that you did and to be able to come out on the other side looking completely different, it sounds like, but still alive, still active and doing well. I want to dive into some of that. So let's talk about your good decision somewhere early on. So I want to give you two opportunities because it sounds like you've had kind of like two early ons. Early on, number one was maybe when you were building that framing carpentry crew right out of college, or early number two was maybe after the recession and you had to kind of switch to remodeling. What would you say a good decision was that you made tactically inside the business that you can look back and go, because of this one decision, a lot of other things, happened?
Definitely. One, I will say is marrying my wife. She is, she's my support. She keeps me, moving and she's just my right hand woman. Absolutely.
Yeah. Love that.
And she's intelligent. Number two would be joining networking. College never prepares you, or being in the trades never really prepares you to be in business for yourself. I mean, They give you the basics, but until you've actually done it and lived it, it just cannot prepare you for that. And I had joined a networking group probably for the first time, maybe 6-7 years ago. And I wish I would have done it early on because it is such a huge help. More not only to have other business owners giving you feedback, but just to share in some of the war stories and being able to find people to relate to. I always struggled with, as you're progressing through college or as you're working for a company, you always have someone to fall back on. You have a mentor, and then you go into business and it's like, I'm it. It was just nice to have other people in the networking group that you can share some of the issues that you have as a business owner. You can share some of the victories that you have as a business owner and share ideas and help one another grow. It was nice to have that person just to vent to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joining a networking group, it's a game changer. I can't recommend that enough.
Yeah. It's interesting how you use the word venting. I've had several folks inside Gathering the Kings Mastermind, both the 6-figure and the 7+ figure side, say that same thing. Sometimes it's not about strategy of tactics. Yes, there's plenty of that and the feedback that you've gotten from those groups, for you personally. But sometimes it's just having the ability to share with someone who is also at that level. Not like at a certain money level. Yeah, that's a piece of it, but like an understanding. They're going through the same thing that you are in business. They're building a team. They're dealing with customers. Because as an entrepreneur, what you just said is that we have all these people around us, but not many of them are entrepreneurs like us. They're not cut from the same cloth we are. We're kind of alone in that way. Would you add anything to that?
Yeah. And it's, there's a almost a lonely feeling as a business owner sometimes. And people don't understand what it is to be that business owner and some of the stress and hardships that you go through. And then when you get into a networking group or a roundtable group of other business owners, there's a feeling of camaraderie. And I don't know, it's just, you don't feel so alone.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing.
There's a community. I had this vision as far as like a video that I want to create. I haven't created it yet, but what you just said there kind of helped me remember this when I first started Gathering the Kings. I had this vision of, like you as a king and all these other kings coming to the table and taking off the crowns and laying them down on the table and us discussing matters of kings, But that visualization of taking off the crowns really is like, even though I'm in a different industry, I might do more revenue or less revenue, like depending upon our situations, but like we kind of lay all that down to the side and say, okay, how can I help? How can you help me? What visually or tactically or, experience wise or connection wise, can we genuinely grow with each other? And I think that takes a certain humility to say, like, number one, I need help. I am alone, but then to find value in others, which is that almost like again, that representation of taking off the crown. Like I'm amongst peers. I don't need the crown to like express my authority or my dominance here in this room because I'm amongst peers. And there's a value there emotionally to be able to, be in that place where you can share. Would you add anything to that?
Yeah. I call it contractor counseling.
Contractor counseling.
Contractor counseling. It's like, I feel like you're in a group and everybody's had similar situations at different parts of their business. So, I mean, everyone can relate and give you feedback, or maybe you haven't had that issue yet, but there's an awareness of, oh, this is what I should be looking for. So it's a bit of being proactive.
Yeah.
But yeah.
100%. Hey, kings and queens, Chaz Wolfe. I want to talk to you about something that's super important to me. We put a lot of time and effort, we meaning myself and my team, into this podcast, into the content that goes out every single day. And if you have been getting any sort of value or insight from this, we want it to be able to reach other business owners too. So we would love if you would like, comment, share, leave a review, post, share again, all of the things on social media, on all the different platforms, or even on the podcast mediums of Apple and Spotify. We would love to be able to get our content into more hands, more entrepreneurs, so they can grow their business as quick as possible. Together, we are building a community of like-minded entrepreneurs who are committed to growing their businesses to new heights. So let's do this. Let's help each other. Let's help each other grow. let's flip the coin, Scott. Tell me about a bad choice or a decision that you made that, didn't turn out the way that you thought it was going to.
This is a big one to me, is just not trusting your instinct and working with the wrong client or the wrong project.
Okay.
Be it because the market's not strong and there's not a lot of work out there, or because that customer dangled that carrot in your face. It was a big dollar project and the right kind of project, but customer just, something telling me that, probably not a good fit for this customer. Just really getting that sense of really qualifying your jobs or qualifying your customer so that they're a good fit for not only me, but for my team, and we're a good fit for them. So, I've done some projects in the past that my instinct was telling me this isn't a project for us, or this customer is not the right customer for us, and proceeding. And now doesn't matter to me what that carrot is, or, if I don't feel that someone's the right fit, it's almost like they say, hire slow and fire fast, basically.
Right.
So
Right. Yep.
I do the same with customers. If it's not a good fit for your company, don't do it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Do you find, because there's a certain level of scarcity, right? That drives people into accepting that job or that client or even a hire, right? We can put all these in the same category. We're driven to make that, even when, like you said, your instinct said, don't do it, but you did it anyway because you didn't have the sales you needed to, or maybe things were low, or you had guys that weren't busy. And so that was going to be an expense. Like there's usually this scarcity or this, I'm afraid, or lack of money or lack of sales. Like, what are your thoughts there as far as like what was driving you, or what do you see driving other people to continue to make that bad decision over and over?
well, you get this idea in your head that there's a certain kind of project that you want to do, or a certain size of project that you want to do. And maybe that project seems to be the right fit. Customer is not, or, we have a design process and a production process that we like to follow. And then certain customers go into it with, well, this is the process that I want to follow. I don't want to follow the process. And that's a big no-no right there. I mean, if you have a process that works for you and works for projects in the past, then you should follow that process regardless. But yeah, it could be, cash at the time, cash flow is low. So, you're taking on what you can, or it's the right project, but wrong customer. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why, the decisions are made. But me, now looking back, I don't feel it was a bad decision because I've learned a lot from it, but I definitely would think twice before doing that again.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the solution now that I can just point out for the listener, number one is to overcome the scarcity is you just go get more deals. You put yourself in front of more estimates, more clients, more projects. And if you have 100 to choose from, you can pick the 3 that you love. If you only have 3 to choose from, you're more likely to pick something that maybe you shouldn't. And so that's a really easy, just go get more deals. That's obviously, there's a whole process to that, and you got to have marketing and sales and fun stuff like that. But the other piece that you just were saying is that your process, like you have to be so confident and so trusting. And like, if I say no to this one, that there's going to be another one coming down the pipe somewhere that'll be a better fit. And that's, again, kind of maybe tied to your sales process, like I just talked about. But what Scott's talking about more so is his belief or his confidence in his team and their process. And they just believe it so much that they can provide the value that they want to provide through this specific process, that they're just not willing to, go around that. All right. So let me flip the script again here. You're right. It's not a bad choice. You learn through that. Obviously, every guest I've had on the show seems to iterate at some point. Like, look, yes, it didn't turn out the way I thought, but it was something that I learned from. So taking that, let me parlay into my next question, which is, what's your process now for decision making, right? What's your process now when a decision comes to your desk so that you don't make the bad decision, maybe not as often at least?
I guess one is really just qualifying, customers and making sure that they're a good fit, and for your process. You're allowing their contractor to work with them as a team versus, the micromanaging. And it, a formula that I use is no matter what, if you start it, finish it. In the end, there's little feelings of accomplishment, whether that project is going great or whether that project is going bad. But at least if you get it done, if it's going bad, then get it done as fast as you can and get out of there, get done, get on to the next, great customer and great project.
Right.
But,
Good.
But I finish it. I mean, to me, that's very important. Start a task, complete it.
So I'm hearing you say, I mean, it kind of goes back to our point just a couple minutes ago about you having a process, being so confident with your process that you're basically unwilling to waver. And so even your decision-making process is kind of pinned up against, okay, whether it's a client, whether it's a person that we're hiring for our team, whether it's a move that we're making in our business, does it support our current process that we know, love, believe, are confident in? And if it doesn't, you kind of just, you're sticklers on we don't do that, or we don't hire that person, or we don't work with that person because it doesn't fit our process.
Over the years, we would allow customers to, say we gave them an estimate for a large project, but they had a relative or friend or something that wanted to do part of the project, and we would allow that. Well, today, no, it's a team effort. If you're going to hire one of us, you're going to hire all of us, the whole team.
Yeah.
And it works. We work with the same people on every project, same trades, and our design process works, and the way we communicate. We've had a lot of success with it. So
yeah,
if early on, if we get that feeling that people just aren't interested in the process, then might not be the contractor for you.
Yeah. 100%. Love that. All right. I'm going to hit you with the speed round questions here, Scott. I want you to take your business. I want you to dwindle it down to one trackable metric. If you could only pick one to track forever and ever, what would it be?
I would have to say, it's going to sound a little bit cheesy, but happiness.
Okay.
And that would be for staff, clients, trades, suppliers, everyone. You could track that. And I mean, in terms of happiness with us and our product.
Sure.
And the environment. That was able to track easily and make sure everybody's happy, then things are bound to go well. So
yeah.
Happiness.
How do you, I mean, obviously there's different angles of that, and I'm sure you're tracking pieces of that now. Do you have any examples of how maybe you're trying to track happiness in those different angles?
We do reviews, and we do evaluations just to not only from, our customers, but reach out to maybe some suppliers, some vendors, talk to our staff constantly about, not only are you happy here, but are you getting what you need here to be happy, not only at work, but at home? It's very important.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. What book would you recommend for a six-figure business owner, Scott?
So one that I'm reading right now is called The Remodeling Life by Paul Winan.
Okay.
It says it's a story very similar to my own. So I can relate. He started as a tradesman and worked his way up, all the way up with his wife, as a matter of fact, to retirement, and decided that they did not to have their family take over the business. They sold the company and made a nice profit.
Yeah.
Now they are facilitators. And so it's a good book. It's a good read. So
That's great. Do you think that? Yeah, exactly. Remodeling life. We'll put it in the show notes for the listener. Is that your exit strategy to sell, or are you handing it down to the next generation? What do you think is your plan?
I'm not totally sure yet. That's actually on my part of my to-do list. Is I have two daughters. I got fantastic staff.
Yeah.
We're not exactly sure. We've talked about it briefly, but that will probably be
lots of possibilities.
That will be probably the next planning stage of what's next for Total Quality Construction.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think that a lot of people probably wait too long. Just because you're planning to exit doesn't mean that you're exiting. And I think a lot of people don't want to give up that build. Like, we're builders. That's really what we are. I'm not in remodeling, but we're builders. We put things together. We build teams, we build people, we build projects. And I think high performers, we think exit, we think, sit on the porch and drink tea. And that doesn't sound super exciting to us. And so it doesn't have to be like that at all. I think it's a matter of just the next step. So whether that's selling and starting something new or holding on to this business, helping someone on your staff take it over. I mean, there could be so many cool pieces of what building looks like in the next phase. If we phrase it that way, I think it sounds a little more engaging to our to our very high performing brains.
Yeah. Yeah. And somehow consulting is somehow in the cards in there somewhere.
Yeah.
That's really what my wife and I want to do is try to help out up and coming contractors and new business owners and share a little bit of what we've been through and hopefully give them some tips.
Yeah, that's exciting. Speaking of helping other entrepreneurs, you've talked a lot about networking and masterminding. My question here in the speed round is, what do you think about this? You've already kind of given us lots of thoughts on that. What would you say to the listener here today who's maybe never joined a networking or mastermind, because they're obviously different, never really spent time on relationships? What would you say to that person who maybe they haven't spent the money, maybe they don't want to spend the money, they don't see the value? What would you say?
I would say give it a second look because to me, it was a game changer. I remember one of my first networking group and when it was presented to me. And at the time I would say it was post recession, but so we were very frugal at the time. And some of these
Right.
networking groups can be a little pricey, but now looking back that I've been with the group,
Yeah.
there is no way that I would not be in a networking group. If I have a business, I would be in a networking. I mean, that's a no brainer.
Yeah.
It is essential. It's
Yep.
just good business health.
Yeah, it's funny that your mindset went specifically to that place of I wouldn't do it without it. That's literally what I say to contractors or tech guys or real estate guys that join Gathering the Kings Mastermind, is that our target literally is to provide so much value, not just from us, my team, but from the other folks in the group, like you're saying, so that at the end of the first year, you're like, not do I want to sign up again? It's I would not imagine doing life or business in any other format. Because once you have that, first off, sometimes people don't realize the void, like you're talking about. Sometimes it's a lonely feeling. They know it, but they don't really know it. But once you fill that void of like, wow, this is what it's like to have, comrades, like you said, or running buddies, or, just accountability or just some help. It's tough to move forward without that because it is a game changer. So I appreciate those thoughts. Next question for you. Actually, last question is, if you lost it all, Scott, I want to know at this level, what would you do?
I would start again. You can't take the knowledge away. You can't take the experience away. So
That's right.
yes, is it possible that you could lose everything tomorrow? Yes, but experience and the knowledge is there. So I would start again, hopefully where I am today, a whole lot faster.
That's right.
So, yeah, start again.
Yeah.
Just don't quit.
Yeah, I was going to say the persistence piece for you of just keeping going. I mean, you've been doing this longer than probably the listener. And, you saying that you were building in the 90s and then going through the recession, we're probably heading into what might be your second recession. And to hear a guy like you say, I would just do it again, or I would just persist. I would just keep going, right? Like, okay, I lost it all, but I would just keep going. I think gives an immense amount of inspiration, confidence to somebody listening here today who's like, ah, man, should I do this? Should I not? Should I go work for somebody else? Should I, just this constant back and forth on is it worth it? And what I'm hearing you say through that is not only is it worth it, but you would do it again, even if you lost it all. Like in the worst case scenario, you'd do it all over again. Would you like to add anything to that?
I would, because, touching on that recession that is pretty much coming at some point sooner, hopefully later. I remember thinking at the last recession is, wow, there was a labor shortage. And before the recession even started, and now the recession's here, what's going to happen, to the companies that, pulled through this? I remember thinking that, and I was like, we pulled through this and the economy picks up, the numbers are less, and the contractors are going to be so busy. And that's exactly what happened. And now times, contractors are busier now than they've been.
Yeah.
Than I've ever been. And I think if there's going to be another recession, then to me, that just means start planning for what to do during the recession and start planning for what's going to happen after that recession. Because that means, good thing about a recession is after that, there's huge opportunities to grow and expand after that. So
That's right.
don't quit, keep fighting.
Love it. That's a great way to end. How can the listener find you, Scott? They want to connect with you further. They want to get a couple nuggets from you. Maybe they're in your area. They want to come meet you. How can they find you?
Facebook, totalqualityconstruction.com is our website. LinkedIn, really just look us up, Google search, remodeling contractor, Toledo, Ohio. Pop up. You'll find all of our contact information on those sites.
Love it.
We're happy to oblige.
Yeah, no, you've been incredible here today. Thank you for the time. Of course, your insight, your decades of experience. We just wish you nothing but success in your family and your family culture that you've built. It sounds like an amazing business. And so thank you for sharing. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Chaz.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to Gathering the Kings today. I hope that you were able to pull out a few nuggets to go apply into your business right away. More importantly, though, I hope that you're realizing that it takes more to be successful than just being by yourself, doing it all on your own, carrying the weight all by yourself. What I have realized, not only in my own journey from multiple businesses and multiple different industries, and now interviewing over 200 or 300 other very successful 7, 8, and 9-figure business owners, is that it's tough to do it alone. And so Gathering the Kings exists to bring together successful entrepreneurs. In fact, we are putting together 1,000 kings, specifically who are grateful but not done. We're intentionally assembling kings who fight tooth and nail for their business, family, and communities. And here's what we believe, that in the pursuit of excellence in those areas, that it ignites within us the responsibility to govern power and forge a lasting legacy. So if that relates and resonates with you, and you know that you need people around you, sharp, qualified, other very successful business owners, I want you to go to gatheringthekings.com. I want you to take a look at what we're doing and see if it makes sense for you to be part of our pursuit to 1,000 kings. Talk soon.